Hey guys, welcome back to another video at Jensen's Reptiles. So today we're talking about all things royal python. I'm going to try to do a care guide type video for these animals, so sit tight and hopefully I can give you all the information that I have about them. So this is a vivarium for an adult royal python. It is 4 foot long, 2 foot deep and 2 foot high. It has a hide here over on the warm side and a hide through there, that piece of cork, on the cooler end. The tank is heated with a 150 watt ceramic heater made by White Python, and it is lit with LED lighting, also from White Python. So I have 3 strip lights along the back and 3 strip lights along the front. Some people say that lighting isn't necessary for a nocturnal animal. I completely disagree. If your animal is nocturnal, it still needs some kind of indication that there is a daytime. So the lights are on for 12 hours a day and they go off for 12 hours at night. There are night lights in here, but they're purely to check on the animal for viewing purposes or for late night feeding. Otherwise there is total darkness in these enclosures at night time. Alright, so temperature wise, you're going to want to run a hotspot in the mid 30s. Ambient temperatures on the hot side should be around 28 degrees Celsius, and over on the cooler end they can drop to about 24-25 degrees Celsius. Humidity for royal pythons should be around 50%, and you should bump that up to 60 or 70% when they're shedding. You can see in Aki's hide here that I provided her with some moss. That's to help the hide be humid in case she was to go into shed. Now, Aki's been sick lately, or she's been sick since I've had her, but it's flared up lately, so she's been on some antibiotics, so her tank is running a little bit warmer. The best way to check is by using a temperature gun like this. You're going to point it at whatever you want to see the temperature on, and you see that's 38 degrees. For the other pythons that I keep, I'd want to see that at 35. But for her, it's at 38 because I'm essentially kick-starting a fever. See, in the middle of the enclosure, we're looking at 25 degrees on the floor and 27 degrees on the branches. It's a little bit lower than normal because the door is open and some heat's come out. Now, I have a thermometer inside which shows the temperature and the humidity. The humidity is a little bit low. For Aki, I like it around 50% at the moment. So you just use a spray bottle and spraying away from her. I'm just going to spray the enclosure a little bit. Because she's fighting a respiratory infection, I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm not going to spray her. I don't want her to go into thermal shock with cold water being on her. But I will spray just the top of her hide there. And that's that. The humidity should go back up to about 55% and then slowly drop back down to 50, which is where I wanted it. Royal pythons are incredibly good climbers, so providing them with branches is a really good idea. A lot of the adult royal pythons you will see on the market are incredibly overweight, and sometimes that's for breeding purposes. The females pack on a lot of weight before they breed. But if you're just keeping these animals as pets and not breeding them, it's nice to keep them muscular and healthy. They will live longer. So branches are great. This means they can exercise in their enclosure, not just when you have them out. It also means that because they're larger bodied snakes, they do have trouble passing any mucus out from the lungs. This way they can sit with their heads hanging down and they'll have a lot easier time. Any respiratory infection that could happen may well be avoided by having branches in at a 45-degree angle. It's also really good to give these animals lots of cover, so pieces of cork like this they'll go sit underneath, bushes like that they'll curl up on, lots of greenery that they can poke their heads out from. This way they're not going to feel threatened. Royal pythons are, in general, a fairly shy animal, although being incredibly friendly can be easily startled, so it's best to make sure that they feel comfortable within their own enclosure. You can give them the biggest enclosure size you want, as long as it's well heated, and gives them the cover that they need. So there is a huge myth about royal pythons needing to be kept in small enclosures because they get scared or they won't eat. You can create that small space within a larger enclosure. That way your animal will have space to to move around when you're not taking them out, which I think is very important. So, substrate here, I use orchid bark, and underneath is a layer of eco earth. That will hold in the humidity underneath, and you'll have a slow release humidity without the ground being damp. You don't want these guys to be sitting on damp substrate. It can lead to scale rot over time, which is really incredibly unpleasant for them. So give them the option of somewhere dry to sit, whilst at the same time having a moist layer locked in underneath. So, back here we have a probe. That is leading to a pulse proportional thermostat, which controls this heater. So pulse proportional stats are best for ceramic heaters. Dimming stats are best for light emitting heaters. And on-off stats are best for heat mats. I wouldn't recommend heat mats for a large, heavy-bodied animal, because you can create a thermal block and burn them. So heat from above is the most natural way to go, same as the sun would work. You have heat coming down from above, warming something underneath. So hides like this, which are made of a ceramic type material, will retain heat, and she can sit on that to bask if she would want belly heat. If you think about how it would work in nature, the sun will bake the earth, and that's where they sit. They're not getting a heat from below. They're not that close to the centre of the earth, so that's the way I choose to do it anyway. I think it's a really effective way of heating their tanks. Any other things like this that you see are purely for decoration for me. She really doesn't get much use out of that. She can't climb on it, but it's nice to make their tanks look nice, I think. They do become a display feature in your home, so I think it's nice to make them look as nice as you can, if that's what you want to do. So that's Aki's enclosure. I'm going to show you the other enclosures that I have, just so you can see the different things that you can do with pretty much the same materials. And yeah, that's as far as care goes. You want to feed the babies once a week. Always have fresh water provided. And as soon as you hit that kind of 1 kilogram mark with their weight, you can decide if you want to start feeding them every 2 weeks. So my 2 adult females are still feeding weekly, purely because Aki has been unwell, so I'm offering her food every week, just to help her along a bit. But once she's eating regularly, she'll go back onto her 2-week feeding schedule. And Haku, my other adult female, is about to go onto a 2-week feeding schedule. At the end of the video, I will get the snakes out and show you the different morphs. Our royal pythons come in an incredible variety of colours and patterns, so they're very beautiful animals. Even the wild types, or the normals, I think are some of the most beautiful of all. So always consider those if it's your first snake. If you're not fussed about colours, go for a normal. There are plenty of them on the market, lots need rescuing. So that's Aki's setup anyway. I'll show you Haku's, and then we'll talk a little bit more about morphs. So this is Haku's enclosure. Forgive the light striping there, the camera can't keep up with the lights. She's got exactly the same hide as Aki with the moss inside. She has a big water bowl here, and then she's got her network of climbing branches and cork for cover, and some little decorations and things. So Haku's tank is currently sitting at 28 degrees ambient temperature and 49% humidity now because the door's open. So I'll give this a little spray down in just a moment. Over on the left there, she has her cold hide, which she's currently underneath, and that's just a cork bark flat, and you can prop it up a little bit, or you can lay it flat on the ground. They will find their way underneath. The cool thing about these animals, they will make their own hides. So exact same setup over here, the 150 watt ceramic heater, the lighting at the front, and there is the probe there to the pulse proportional thermostat that controls this heater. All cables are held in with little cable holders behind this plant here, you can see. Because these animals are so good at climbing, they will get their heads wrapped around those cables and potentially pull them down, so it's best to keep them held up like that. And then for the probes, I use stick-on cable drops, which just keep the probes in place. so that they can't move them, and the temperatures will stay at a constant. But you can see she's got lots of height to climb on here, and lots of things to burrow under should she want to. And Haku's a very active snake, so at night she's out and about climbing, and then during the day she will move between her hides depending on how she wants to thermoregulate. It's best to give them lots of options of hides, so whatever temperature they want to be at, they have the option to hide at that temperature. So that's Haku's enclosure. Next up I'll show you Pixel's. So he's slightly smaller and he's in a 3 foot. He's due to move into one of these 4 foots later this year. But until now he's in a 3 foot enclosure, which is the minimum I would keep any juvenile or baby royal python in, so I'll show you that next. And here is Pixel's enclosure. So this is a 3 foot Viv Exotic. The others are just 4 foot of the same type of enclosure. Again, he's got the ceramic heater. It's the same wattage, it just works a little less in a smaller space. He just has the strip lights along the back, nothing along the front. He has a ceramic Exoterra hide underneath the heat source, so that stays nice and warm. Water bowl, which has always got fresh water in it. And same as the others, he has a cork hide down here for his cold hide, at the back there. And then he has a nice big acacia branch to climb on, and that goes all the way up to the back here. So always give these animals space to climb and move, because they are incredibly active, which is a common myth that they sit around and do nothing. They are wonderfully strong animals that would love the opportunity to climb and stretch. So Pixel's temperatures are 26 degrees at the front here. Underneath here is sitting at about 32, which is perfect for him. And then down at the other end it's about 24. So on cold days like today, he's most likely going to be in his hide, which you can't see on the camera, but he's in there, and he'll be staying warm. So that's it really. You give them lots of cover, lots of climbing spots, different hides, nice heating and lighting. Having the lights on a timer is very helpful. I personally, if I'm not here in the evening, don't want to worry about the lights being on, so they're all on timers and go off at the same time here. Pixel's got his probe at the back there, and his thermostat is actually on the side of the enclosure, so I can show you what kind I'm using. Hopefully the light will work. There we go. So that is the microclimate pulse proportional thermostat. If you are running a higher heat source and you need a higher temperature, they also do a high-end stat, which will allow your temperatures to go a lot higher than that. So yeah, so that's Royal Pythons. If you have any questions about the setups, please let me know. I will answer them to the best of my ability, or at least point you in the right direction. This is what I do for my animals. It's what I think is best for them. If you are an advocate of keeping them in small containers, and that's what you want to do, then who am I to tell you what to do? But personally, this is what I believe these animals will benefit from the most, so this is how I choose to keep them. They all eat perfectly, shed well, do everything they should, and are incredibly friendly animals. They're all fed in their enclosures. I don't see the point of taking them out. Cage aggression has not occurred with these animals, and I have not seen it with any of my animals, and they're all fed in their enclosures. The substrate, as you can see, is far too large for them to get an accidental piece of it stuck. If they were to get any, it would be a little bit of moss or eco earth, which is nothing to worry about. But yeah, that's their enclosures. I'm going to get some of them out, and you can have a look at the snakes themselves, because they're beautiful animals, and quite frankly I'd just like to show them off. So I will turn the camera off for now and see who wants to come out. So this is Pixel. He's the baby of the Royals. Pixel is 1.5 years old, and he's not best pleased that I've just woken him up, but he's a sweet little guy mostly. So Pixel is an orange ghost pied. He's due to go into shed soon, so usually his colours are a lot brighter, but he's dulled down to a kind of yellowy brown colour. Usually the orange really shows through, but that's okay. He'll shed soon, and he'll be feeling a lot happier again. So these snakes come out on a daily basis. Every evening they'll come to the front of the glass and they will tap their locks, which is a good indication that they want to come out. They only do it if they see someone in the room, so it seems to be a good way of getting attention, and they know it works. Pixel really doesn't want to be on camera right now, but I'll just show you the other side of him so you can see his colours. He's an absolutely stunning snake, and he's really grown a lot since I've had him. Actually, one thing I will talk about after I've shown you the animals is keeping track of feeding charts and weights. And that's incredibly important for royal pythons in case you ever need to take them to the vet, or if they ever go off their food, which is quite common in these snakes during breeding season. They will refuse to eat, and they can go an incredibly long time without eating. But it's best to keep track of their weight, just in case they start losing any, because losing weight while they're not eating is actually a sign of usually being a little bit unwell, so it's best to keep track of that. Anyway, next up I'll show you Haku, if she's willing to sit still for me, and then last but not least, Aki. Okay, so this is Haku. Haku looks like a black-eyed leucistic, but she's actually a white wedding morph. That means she is an all-white pied snake. So I say all-white. Haku actually has two coloured scales, which are currently not visible. I'm sorry, baby. But yeah, she has two scales which are a different colour. But other than that, she is all white. She has jet black eyes. Haku is approaching 3. She'll be 3 this June, and she is an incredibly sweet animal. Haku holds the spider gene, which is linked to a neurological disorder. So you see a lot of head wobble with these animals. As they get stronger, they can grow out of it, which is another reason for giving them branches to climb on and enough space to move around, because they will develop that neck muscle a lot better than if they weren't able to climb at all. So so that's what I do with Haku. You can see those two scales there now. She's moved a little bit. So just the two there still have colour. But yeah, she's a lovely creature, incredibly sociable and sweet, and a wonderfully friendly snake. So I love her dearly. So that's Haku. I'm going to put her back to bed because it is morning here, which means that it's bedtime for these animals. And I will get Aki out and show you her quickly before I go into more depth about feeding charts. Last but not least, this is Aki. She is my female pastel royal python, and she is approaching 4 years old. I think she is one of the most beautiful snakes in existence because she was my first snake, and she's an absolute angel. This animal will sit on my lap until I put her back in her enclosure, and then she'll kick up a fuss about having to go back, and I think we've definitely established a strong bond between the two of us. She's a wonderfully intelligent animal. She was the first to learn how to open the sliding doors on her enclosure, and yeah, she's brilliant. When I got her, she was in a real state. She had stuck shed all over her. She had a respiratory infection that was treated way back when. It's flared up recently, so she's been on some antibiotics. So every time I get her out now, she's kind of assuming I'm about to inject her, but her course is over, so hopefully we can be back on good terms with each other, and she won't be too stressed about coming out. So it's feeding day today, so I'm not going to keep any of the animals out for too long. They're all a bit hungry. I'm sure they'd like to relax a bit before they eat. So those are the pythons. Next up I'll show you the charts quickly, and then that'll be that for the video. Right, so record keeping. I choose to do mine on an iPad. If you want to do it on your phone or computer or tablet or whatever, that's fine. I used to keep mine on paper, but because of the quantity of animals here, it would have been stacks and stacks of paper and books, so it's easier to do it on here for me, and it means I can transfer it to my phone or my computer easily. So we're going to go into snake charts, and then Aki, because she's the oldest snake, you can see the chart is a lot bigger, so it takes a moment to open. Now you can see Aki's been off her food since roughly the 25th of September, and then she's had a big fast, and then recently she's been on antibiotics, so I haven't offered her any food. So this section here is breeding season. This is why she's gone off her food. She is of adult size and weight, so she's wanting to breed. Now if I go to last year at the same time, you can see that she wasn't the right weight, so she went off a little bit, but not for long. As she got larger, still in breeding season, she went off her food for a bit longer. Now this is completely normal with royal pythons. As long as you're monitoring their weight and they're not dropping any, there shouldn't be a problem. The reason that I took Aki to the vet was because she was fasting and losing weight and showing signs of the respiratory infection flaring up. So I'm hoping this week she'll eat for me. That would be phenomenal. Take a weight off for me anyway. But you can see for the first year that I had her, she didn't fast, and this was because she was a baby and not big enough to breed, not worried about breeding, so she ate like a trooper. This is why it's really good to keep feeding charts. You can go back to the previous years, compare them, see what's normal for your animal, and treat it accordingly. So up here we have ownership information. That's the date that I got Aki, things like that, morph, her sex, all that kind of stuff. That's just for my reference. And over here we have a growth chart. Now this is incredibly important for royals in particular. So for any snake, you kind of want to be measuring their weight and making sure that they stay healthy. I put all of my animals onto charts like this so I can easily see when they lose weight. Now you see over here, Aki dropped a lot of weight. It's going back up now, so I'm happy that she's feeling better. But that kind of drastic weight loss during a fasting is a slight worry, so you want to monitor it really carefully. Now if I were to go into Haku's breeding chart, feeding chart, sorry, these animals are not being bred. So you can see Haku had her fast last year around this time of year, so if she were to start fasting again now, I wouldn't be worried. She did it last year at the exact same time. But since then, she's been feeding brilliantly, with the exception of being in shed. When I don't offer her food at all, she doesn't take it. So, and then Haku's growth chart, you can see last year during that fast, her weight dipped a little bit, but she wasn't of breeding weight when she went on her fast. So I put it down to Haku being Haku at that point in time, really. So we kept it really closely monitored, and then as you can see, it spiked back up, and since then she's been putting on weight at a phenomenal weight. I need to weigh them for this month, next week, and I'm pretty certain that she will have hit the kilo mark, so I'm expecting her to maybe fast for a few weeks this year. If she doesn't, brilliant. It's always it's not stressful, but it's a little bit annoying, might not be the right word either. Maybe it is a bit stressful when they don't eat, because as humans who eat on a daily basis, to have your animal skipping food for a couple of months seems so drastic. Anyway, this is Pixel's feeding chart. As you can see, he is a baby and he eats like a trooper, so the only times he hasn't eaten is when he's shedding, and I've offered him food in shed just to see if he'd take it. But now we know that he doesn't, so when I see him go into shed, I don't defrost food for him. So this is Pixel's growth chart. As you can see, it's just a really nice sloping curve there. or a straight line. In fact, it's not sloping or curved. But you can see he's just putting on weight at a steady pace, and for a snake his age, that's brilliant. So that's it as far as royals go. If you have any questions or you feel like I've missed something, let me know. I will try and answer you best I can and as quickly as I can. But that's it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you're new and you liked it, please hit the subscribe button. If you liked it overall, hit the like button. You can check out my social media if you want to. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. You'll get regular updates about when the videos are out. I also have a Facebook page which is there for any questions you may have if you don't want to post them on the YouTube in the comment section. So it's completely up to you how you want to reach me. I'm available pretty much everywhere. So yeah, I hope you're having a great day, and I hope the video has been helpful.